Right. So we know that in the past, your life garden has been withered. It has been dried out. It hasn't been watered. It hasn't been nurtured. And this goes rooted back into ancestry. If everything that you've ever known is deficient, is poverty, and if everything that you have now is not deficient but not thriving, the only the only obvious option would be to leap into the unknown. Take a chance because you are cared for. You won't lose your money. You won't get sick. Don't worry about your physical self. In terms of your mental, spiritual, and emotional self, those parts can take hits without really fucking up your life. You have the physical part down, that's fine. Your garden is safe. Now it's up to you to grow it. You can't grow it using fertilizer that hasn't worked in the past. You can't grow it using fertilizer that's not working right now. So you need to throw those away and start fresh totally. And start loving yourself. The death card is very scorpionic. If you really take a look at this card, this is your past. This baby's trying to crawl back into the womb to be reborn. We don't have any second chances. You just have to cut your losses, essentially, in terms of your heart and what you need, where you need healing and where you need forgiveness, or where you feel like you haven't gotten forgiveness, and all of your hang-ups in the past and all these disappointments. Fucking flick them into that nasty ocean, because there are no do-overs. Your only hope is to birth a new baby. And you see, she's got her foot, the mother has her foot on this baby. Baby, you're not working. You can't come back. You can't stop time. No more than you can change the past. Bringing us to our 11th card, the throat chakra, how you're communicating and expressing yourself, how you're sharing yourself verbally and creatively with others, and what messages you receive that aren't necessarily conscious. Positively, we have the star. Okay, so this means that you're hopeful. You're communicating to other people that, you do want something different. Remember that this card comes after the Tower. So, if your Tower was the Five of Pentacles, this is you, kind of, taking stock of everything around you. You see a light at the end of the tunnel, just right now you don't know how to get there, right? But you're hopeful. This is also like a very scientific card. It's very mental. So what you're communicating to other people may not be what you're actually feeling. People may not know. It may not be so obvious that you're the one, that it may not even be obvious that you're unhappy, because as far as everyone else is concerned, you are an inspiration. They see you blooming. It's also like how we're seeing you. Leslie and I talk sometimes about how much growth you've made. And it's apparent in the way that you're talking and in the way that you're connecting with other people, and even so, and it's also what you're giving other people. You're giving other people hope. You're giving other people inspiration, but it's not something that you can give yourself. It's something that, you are aware of, you are hopeful, but you're also very fearful. This isn't translating into what other people are seeing, so they can't really help you. This is why you needed a tarot reading. Understand that you're an inspiration and that you're giving hope to other people. And if you're inspiring me, for example, how can you say, basically, it's like, you have inspired me, like, just by the fact that, I've seen you go from, being unhappy here in Chicago, being almost homeless, traveling around, going to the army. I've seen your growth, and it shows me that we aren't stuck. We aren't defined by our path, that we can always go forward. And also, you've given me hope and inspiration by buying this reading, by giving me this money. You're sharing all of those gifts, and you may not even be aware of it, because these are things that you may not be consciously aware of. So I would say that stop telling yourself you're wrong and start listening to other people and their testimonies of you. If I tell you that you've inspired me and that your story is inspiring me, and then you're still looking down on yourself, you're basically telling me that I'm a fucking idiot. You're basically telling me that I've got the wrong idea and that I shouldn't be inspired because, you're still fucked. Don't talk about my friend that way. Everything that you're giving to other people, give it to yourself too. Take stock and give yourself credit. Next, your third eye chakra, your intuition, your psychic abilities, and how you're seeing through the illusions. So we pulled the Wheel of Fortune. This card was a little bit interesting for me to interpret in this position, because if this is your intuition, it's basically telling me that you've got no control. It's kind of like from the gods. You have sudden bursts of insight, or you have sudden bursts of depression. It's kind of random. It's almost like you have no control over when you get to use your intuition. This is why you need to integrate this mentally and emotionally, because it's not integrated. These moments of insight are popping up randomly, and sometimes they don't pop up productively, and they end up taking from you. Right now, because you haven't integrated everything consciously, it's kind of like up to the gods. You've kind of given it up to the gods. You've given your control up to the gods, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's you don't know who's out there picking up or taking that wheel, because you can't see. You haven't integrated it. And for your crown chakra, the 13th card, how you're flowing with the universe and all creation. Mentally, you are really not. You're stressing yourself the fuck out. You're letting anxiety and fear control you. And that's ultimately what the problem is. You are your own worst enemy. This is referring to the Judgment card. The gods have made their judgments on you. Society has made their judgment. Who are you to question that verdict? Don't question a good thing. Take it and run. Take it and run with it. Because these conscious fears, bleed into your subconscious. She's dreaming. And these subconscious things are birthing weeds in your garden. I think that would be a good way to talk. So we know that your garden is safe no matter what, and it will always be fertile. But right now, you don't have any say in what's growing there. What's growing there is kind of random. It's like weeds. You've got dandelions in there. You've got all sorts of stuff in there, which is fine. It's still flourishing. It's still really green, but is it really what you want? Until you're able to integrate your mental and emotional self, what you're growing isn't going to be in your control. So it won't really matter how hard you go, or how hard you work, or how much effort, you think you're putting into it. If you're not integrating everything that's going to grow is going to be random. You won't have any choice. You won't have any say. You won't have any direction.